Congratulations, John, on your new release today. It's an incredible song. You made a movie, man. It's awesome.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I wrote this song back in November of last year. That's how long it's existed. And then in February of this year, we shot the video. And so I just sat on it, watching how the country is turning, how the world is turning. And I thought, when's the right time for this message to be heard? And to me, it seemed like about right now is the time that this thing should have come out.
Right now is a remarkable moment because you have a guy who is running for president who says that, God's not coming back effectively is what Joe Biden says, right? He's like, the good Lord isn't coming down to tell me not to run for president. It's a strange thing for a Christian to say.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is in the highest places of authority in our country, we see nothing but blaspheme coming out of their mouths 24/7, and it's permeated into our culture. Every time you turn on a TV or radio or the internet, there it is in your face again. What this song is talking about is it's really, obviously, it's called Revelation, so it's from the writings of the Apostle John, which wrote the book of Revelation a couple of decades after Jesus was crucified. But in Ephesians, it says, we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with principalities and powers and the rulers of the darkness of this earth. Now, tell me that does not sound like what we're looking at, because I think human beings are viewing all of this and can't make heads or tails as to why we see the things happening that are happening, because it defies all logic, all common sense. It's bordering science fiction at this point. But if you realize that the real battle, as you can see in that video shot, that's Michael the Archangel coming down into the woods and the devil's on the other side about to meet him. The real battle is happening there in the spiritual realm. It's talked about throughout the Bible, that's the real war. The physical manifestation of it is what we're all seeing day to day in our lives. So I don't think a song like this has ever been written, recorded, and released that talks about this exact subject.
So what was it that motivated you to write this? Are you just taking sort of a landscape view of what's happening on the planet and saying, ooh, baby, we're spiraling towards a dark place?
Well, I think we are spiraling towards a dark place, but that's what the book says. It says it'll get very, very, very dark before the boss shows back up, before Jesus touches back down. But there are things in motion now that have only existed for a decade or so that allow for the prophecies in Revelation to become reality. For instance, the mark of the beast. Every Christian knows about the mark of the beast. It says you won't be able to buy or sell unless you bear the mark of the beast being the system that is in place globally at that point. So my dad's been a preacher since he was about 19. He's now 72. And he said, listen, we could never understand how it would be possible to track every human being on the face of the earth and know when and how and where they would be spending their money. I mean, that just sounds ridiculous. It's impossible, right? And now we all know all too well, oh no, they're tracking us right now. They know exactly where you spend your money and how you spend it. They know who you are and where you go. So my point is, technology has advanced to such a point now that pretty much everything prophesied in Revelation, in Daniel, and Matthew, and 2 Thessalonians, all those things are now possible. And to me, that's why this song needed to come out now.
I'm getting big time Johnny Cash vibes from this song. I'm getting big, like, old, like end times Johnny Cash when he was getting up there, and he was sort of rolling through some old hymns and some, God's gonna cut you down, getting some real spiritual vibes out of this.
Yeah,
it's a good feel, man. It obviously locks in with country quite well.
Yeah. I mean, the music behind the song, it all came at one time. It hit me so hard, man. I was not intending on writing about this subject. I hadn't been thinking on it, and then said, okay, it's time to write it. That's not how it happened. It just hit me like a hammer all at once, and I sat down, put the pencil to paper, and in about 60 minutes, this thing was done. But Johnny Cash is gone, and Charlie Daniels is gone, and some of those people that were saying these things and putting the truth out there, they've passed on. So now it's on my shoulders, your shoulders, and everybody else to take what they did and move the ball forward and say what needs to be said today. And I think that's what this song is doing.
Sucker is flying. You got 3,000 reposts, 5,000 likes. You just shared it a few minutes ago. it does seem like it's the right time. I know that you are pretty tied in with the forces that be, played obviously for President Trump in private, in public. I think you'll be at the RNC, if I'm not mistaken, and perhaps at Trump rallies through November. Can you tell me about what the rest of the election season looks like for you, and what it means to play at events like this?
Yeah, I'm on call to help. There's other artists in country music that feel like I feel about the situation in our country, but most of them aren't at the point where they can step out there and do it without taking horrible damage to their career. They still got record deals and publishing deals. One fortunate thing about my situation, Benny, and if you'd have told me 5 years ago, you'll be happy, John, at some point when you don't have a major record deal and you don't have a publishing deal, you'll be so happy. I would have said, why would I be happy about that? That's the end of your career. But it's been the total opposite. If I still had a record deal, if I was still answering to a big company, Revelation, you would never hear that song. It would never come out. And matter of fact, it would probably push the record label to drop me at that point, because some of the people I'm calling out in the song, the second verse says, brimstone upon their heads, millstones around their necks. They'll feel the shaking when the trumpet sounds, and no matter where they run, there'll be nowhere to hide when Jesus puts his mighty foot on the ground. Okay? I mean, I'm calling them out. I'm calling out all the wickedness that's in this world. They sit there with a Super Bowl halftime show with millions of dollars in budget, or a Grammy Awards with millions and millions of dollars in budget, or these huge music videos where they openly put satanic symbolism all in our faces and our kids' faces. They do mock seances. Maybe they're mock, maybe they're actually real, on stage in front of all these people at these high budget, highly entertaining. It's dark entertainment, but it's such a production value that you're kind of mesmerized watching this stuff. And I thought, okay, on Revelation, this is the other side. This is the actual truth of the matter. So if we're going to talk about something as serious as that, the audio, the recording has to be at an ultimate high level, whatever I'm capable of doing. And the video has to go all the way over the top. I spent months and months working on this to where you could see what it would look like if the veil was torn, if you could see through the other side to the spiritual side and see what was happening. Could you see Lucifer? And could you see Michael the Archangel squaring off out in the woods in Tennessee? And that's exactly what the video does, man. It is quite a piece of work. If I never write another song, I'll be happy.
I do recall that, and I think we have some behind the scenes. Let's pop this up, please. We have some behind the scenes footage of you shooting this. It's really an epic. Again, you made a movie here. It's really, really remarkable. You are also the only man to ever get Donald Trump to wear a cowboy hat. So,
That's true.
I mean, it's just winning all around, John. So, do you see your art as something that is going to affect people through November? Right? Are you like trying to call into, are you trying to like call back an America that still had some semblance of morality and faith in God? Because it does seem like it's just pretty much printed on the money, at this point. And nobody really cares. It's just carved into the buildings and monuments in D.C. and nobody even looks at them, right?
I think Christians that are too afraid to step out and speak the truth need to be reminded as to who their daddy is and what he has written and what he is going to do ultimately to this whole situation. When you go back and look at King David, who was the only man God said was a man after his own heart, the only guy that ever got called that, greatest compliment ever probably in the Bible. And you go look at King David when he was a shepherd boy and the Israelites are all lined up there facing off with the Philistines. And David comes out to see his brothers and he's looking at this situation going, why are you guys allowing them to blaspheme God and blaspheme us? And nobody's going to fight these guys. And they go, well, David, they've got a giant. He's like 10 feet tall. Haven't you seen this giant Goliath? And David goes, oh, you're afraid of the giant, huh? I'll be right back. And he goes down to the creek and he picks up some rocks. And he comes back and he has his sling, his shepherd's sling. And he whirls that thing around his head and lets one fly. And he hits Goliath right between the eyes. And people think that the rock is what killed Goliath, but that's not true. The rock knocked him down. And when he knocked him down, David walked up to Goliath as he's laying there dazed and confused. He pulls Goliath's own sword out of his sheath, which was probably heavier than David was. He picked it up over his head and lopped his head off in front of the Philistine army and in front of the Hebrew army. And he looked back at the Hebrews and he said, "Are you ready to fight now?" And of course, then they took off running and destroyed the Philistines that day. So Christian, if that's a man after God's own heart, then Christians need to step up to the plate. You are disappointing the boss if you were sitting around with your mouth shut, watching the world burn around you. This is not about politics. This is much bigger than that. It's not about November. It's not even about Trump and Biden. This is about good, evil, righteousness, what the book says, what the history that has been written down that is taking place. And like I said, the way our technology is these days, it allows for these prophecies now to take place. This is not even 1994 or 2004, and it's definitely not 1884. You know what I mean? This is a whole new era, man. People need to wake up, pay attention, stand up, and be counted.
I got a final question for you about your industry, because it is remarkable to hear somebody with such conviction, faith, and bravery. And it's something that we rarely see in politics, in sports, in music, in any industry, actually. Bravery is the thing that has truly been evaporated in our society, in a society that's been turned into slaves and into chattel. This is brave to do something like this, John. You say that there are other country music artists, and I believe you, that believe the same thing, yet would never, ever dream of saying it. And that it seems to be a real suffering of bravery in every industry. What is it that made you finally go, no, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done playing that game.
You ready for this answer? Because I'm going to tell you the real answer, Benny. The real answer is I am more afraid of what he will do to me than I am of what they will do to me. That's it. We are not supposed to fear what man can do to us. It says in the Bible, all they can do is kill your body. But God says, I can kill your body and your soul. I can kill them both. So do not fear mankind. You're put here for a reason. If you know what the truth is and you refuse to say it, then you're going to answer someday for that. I don't want to have to answer for that. I've got plenty I'm already going to have to answer for. A lot of things in my life, like everybody, that I have not done correctly, that I'm going to have to answer for. But this is not going to be one of those things. The truth has been written down. Everybody's got a copy of it in their house. It's in every hotel room in the world. All you got to do is pick it up and read it. And that's the ultimate truth. Not what Benny says, not what John says, not what Trump or Biden says, what the book says, what the boss says. Go dig back into that, because I have a feeling things are going to get really wild. You think they're wild now. I think it's coming. And Benny, I think you know it's coming as well. People better get as close to God as they can while they can. Yes.
Amazing. Fear of God is the beginning of all wisdom, right? Like the beginning of all knowledge. Fascinating that you said that, John. We pick up on trends around here, and Jim Caviezel was on the program a couple months ago, and he said the exact same thing about breaking out of Hollywood. He said the exact same thing. I fear God. Yeah. I don't fear Satan. Everybody else fears Satan. I fear God.
No, Satan fears God. Satan fears him. When it says resist the devil and he will flee from you, that means the second you go no and you look him dead in the eye and he realizes you got Jesus inside of you, he runs, he wets his pants and runs for the hills. He is a coward. You're never supposed to fear him. Only one you're supposed to fear is the one who can destroy your body and your soul. The devil has no power over your soul.
Yes. And well, if you're a presidential candidate in America and you're supposedly a Christian, don't say God's not coming back. That's what Joe Biden has said. I promise
you, Joe Biden hopes he's not coming back. And that's kind of the point. The devil wants to run the entire earth so there's nothing for Jesus to come back to, just like he did in the days of Noah, where it says, so as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be at the coming of the Son of Man. Meaning back then, the whole earth had been polluted. That's why God flooded it. And he said, short of Noah and his family, he would have wiped the whole place out. God even said in Genesis, it says, he regretted that he made mankind in the first place. That's how upset he was at what had happened. The devil almost got the job done, and he's going to try to do it again. That's the truth. That's what it says. These are not my words. That's what's written down.
So God will save the wicked city, God will save Sodom if he can find one good man, one good woman. Be that one good man and that one good woman. And I think we can save this nation. John Rich is one of those good men. John Rich is a good man with a great song out, just released just an hour ago. Where can people download and get your song Revelation, John?
Anywhere where you get your music, Benny. So iTunes right now, you can go get it. It's $1.29, I think. The video is posted on my X account at John Rich. It's on True Social at John Rich. The video's on Rumble on my channel. It's on YouTube on my channel. I have no record deal, no publishing company. I rely on the people to get this message out. This is not a song I wrote to be a hit. It's not going to be a plaque on my wall. I really don't care where it goes on the chart. I'm not even looking at it. This is an important message. It's the only message like it that exists right now. So if you're struck by it, you forward this on to your people and make sure as many people as possible hear it.
A true brave man, probably the rarest guest you can get on a program like ours. Somebody who actually has bravery and stands up, I personally believe, against Satan himself. The great John Rich. Thank you for being on the program.
Thanks, Benny.